The neighbor who thought he could get away with it. My name is Daniel. I've lived in the same quiet suburban neighborhood for almost 12 years. It was the kind of place where everyone knew each other by first name. Kids rode their bikes on the sidewalks without worry. And people left their doors unlocked when they went for a short walk. For the longest time, life here was peaceful. I worked from home as a freelance IT consultant, and my wife Clara managed a small online shop selling handmade crafts. We weren't rich, but we lived comfortably. That all changed when our new neighbor, Mark, moved in. Mark was the kind of guy who had trouble written all over him the moment you met him. He was flashy, loud, and had this constant smirk, like he knew something you didn't. He drove a bright red sports car that roared like a jet engine every morning at 6 a.m., waking up the whole street. He threw parties on weekdays, blasted music that rattled the windows, and made no effort to get along with the rest of us. At first, Clara and I tried to be polite. We brought him a welcome basket when he first moved in. He accepted it with a grin, but didn't even invite us inside. Yeah, thanks, he said flatly before shutting the door in our faces. That should have been the first red flag. But the real trouble started a few weeks later. It began with the noise, late night parties, constant revving of his car engine, and music blasting at all hours. I tried to talk to him politely the first time. Hey, Mark, I said one morning as he washed his car shirtless in his driveway. Would you mind keeping the music down at night? My wife and I can't sleep. He didn't even look at me. It's my house, Daniel. If you don't like it, maybe you should move. The arrogance in his tone was infuriating, but I let it slide, for now. Then came the trash. He started tossing his garbage bags over his fence and into my yard. At first, I thought it was an accident. Maybe the wind had blown them over. But when I checked my security camera, there he was, smirking as he deliberately hurled bags of beer cans and food scraps onto my property. I confronted him again. Mark, stop throwing your garbage in my yard. I've got the footage on my camera. If it happens again, I'll report you. This time, he laughed. Go ahead, report me. The police won't care about a few bags of trash. You'll just waste your time. And he was right. When I did file a complaint, the authorities shrugged it off. It's a neighborly dispute, they said. Try to resolve it peacefully. So Mark kept escalating. He parked his car halfway across my driveway just to block me in. He let his dog poop on my lawn and never cleaned it up. He even encouraged his drunk friends to use my fence as a urinal during one of his wild parties. It became clear Mark wanted me gone. And for a while, I considered it. Clara and I had sleepless nights, endless stress, and growing resentment. But then something in me snapped. It was a Tuesday morning. I stepped outside to find that Mark had spray painted the side of my garage with a crude insult. Bright neon letters across my white wall. Loser. Clara was in tears when she saw it. She begged me not to confront him, afraid things would get violent. And she was right. I was seething with rage. But as I scrubbed the paint off, my mind started working. Mark thought he was untouchable. He thought nobody could stop him. He thought laws and rules didn't apply to him. But he forgot one thing. I wasn't just some random neighbor. I was an IT consultant. My entire career revolved around problem solving, system vulnerabilities, and finding loopholes. And I realized Mark himself was a system with plenty of vulnerabilities. That's when I decided I wasn't moving. Mark was. Revenge, if done recklessly, can backfire. I knew I couldn't just yell at him, slash his tires, or do something petty. That would only escalate things further and make me look like the bad guy. No, I needed to be smarter. So I studied him. Mark was careless with his life. He bragged loudly about everything he did, as if the world needed to know. He worked a job that nobody really understood, some vague sales position, he claimed. But based on the phone calls I overheard from his patio, it was obvious he was running some kind of shady side hustle. He boasted about clients, quick cash deals, and taxes being for suckers. He also wasn't discreet with his personal details. His Wi-Fi was wide open, unsecured. Within minutes, I had access to his online activity. I didn't invade anything private, but what I found publicly available was enough. Unpaid bills, shady online transactions, gambling websites. Piece by piece, I gathered information. Next, I befriended his dog. Whenever Mark wasn't around, I'd slip the poor animal some treats through the fence. The dog, a pitiful German shepherd named Rex, quickly warmed up to me. Soon, Rex would run to me instead of listening to Mark's commands. That would come in handy later. Finally, I talked to other neighbors. Quietly, carefully, I asked if they'd been having problems with Mark. The response was overwhelming. Everyone had a story: stolen tools, broken mailboxes, loud arguments at 3 a.m., even threats. But most were too scared or tired to do anything. That's when I realized this wasn't just about me. This was about the entire neighborhood. I wasn't just going to get revenge, I was going to liberate us. Step one was simple: documentation. I set up hidden cameras facing my property lines, my driveway, and my garage. Every piece of trash, every vandalism attempt, every time he trespassed, it was recorded. I also saved clips of his drunk friends stumbling into my yard, Rex being neglected, and Mark himself boasting about his business. On the phone, loud enough for everyone to hear. Step two: expose his weaknesses. Through his unsecured Wi Fi, I found that he'd been running several online gambling accounts under his name. He owed thousands of dollars. He also hadn't paid his property taxes in 2 years. That was all public record. I printed the documents neatly and stored them away. Step three: make him slip up. One weekend, I hosted a small barbecue with the neighbors, just a friendly get together. And of course, I invited Mark. I knew he wouldn't come, but he'd notice. And he did. From his porch, he glared at us as we laughed and ate burgers. That night, he stormed over drunk, yelling about how we were plotting against him. Perfect. The cameras caught everything. The first blow came from the city. I anonymously reported his unpaid property taxes. Within weeks, he received official letters demanding payment. He ignored them, of course, thinking he was invincible. But the gears of bureaucracy grind slowly and surely. Penalties stacked up. Next, I made a report to Animal Control about Rex. I had footage of Mark leaving the dog outside in the rain for hours, with no food or water. They came for a surprise inspection. Rex was seized and placed in a foster home. Don't worry, Clara and I later adopted him permanently. Then came the real bombshell. I sent a neatly organized packet of evidence: gambling records, shady transactions, videos of him boasting about tax evasion, to the proper authorities, again, anonymously. But I didn't stop there. I also leaked his gambling debts to the very people he owed money to. Nothing illegal, just a few screenshots posted on local forums where those types of people lurked. Word spread fast. Within a month, Mark's perfect little world started crumbling. First, his car was repossessed. Apparently, he'd been missing payments for months. Watching the tow truck haul away his pride and joy while he screamed profanities at the driver was a sight I'll never forget. Then, his utilities were cut off. No power, no water. He raged, blaming the system, but everyone knew the truth. Animal Control permanently revoked his right to own pets after reviewing his neglect case. Rex was safe with us, happier than ever. And then came the big one. The authorities raided his house. Turns out, his shady side hustle was more than just gambling. He was running an under-the-table scheme that skirted multiple laws. They seized his electronics, his accounts, and froze his assets. The neighborhood watched from their porches as Mark, once so smug and untouchable, was led away in handcuffs. Peace returned to our neighborhood. The music stopped, the trash stopped, the hostility stopped. Clara and I slept soundly for the first time in months. The neighbors were grateful. They never knew exactly who had orchestrated Mark's downfall, but they had their suspicions. People started waving at me more often, dropping by with baked goods, inviting us over for dinners. And Rex? He became part of our family, loyal, playful, and free from neglect. Clara adored him, and I often thought he was the best revenge trophy I could have asked for. As for Mark, he never came back. His house was foreclosed and sold off to new owners. Like and subscribe. Share if this happened to you or someone you know.